Today we're talking to St Albans City manager Ian Allinson at Parkview Road, where the Saints have picked up their third National League South victory of the season with a 1-0 win away to Welling United. We've had to wait a long time for a clean sheet in. It happened on the opening day of the season, the last one. But for all the pressure which Welling put on us in the last 20 minutes, which was the only time they were really in the game, I felt, they didn't really harm us, and we were worthy winners.
Yeah, I felt I mean, obviously Zane's had a really good one-on-one in the first half. We had a couple of other half chances, and then obviously Albert scored, and even in the second half, you know, we've had 3-on-1 at one stage there, and we've misplaced the pass. But yeah, as I said, I felt they never really, apart from one header I think late on that went past the post, they never really caused any problems. And I think that's probably the best we've defended for a long, long time in terms of the way we went about our business. But I felt it was also a threat going forward. We still looked like we had something about us. Got a little bit tired at the last 15-20 minutes. We've got a lot of players there. Albert's obviously been out for 3 weeks. James Kolotsky playing in a different position to what he normally plays. And then obviously Solomon's had to come off with a knee in the back. So we've had to just make changes around a little bit. And but as I say, really, most important thing was getting the 3 points. I don't care how we get it, as long as we go and get them. And you know, we have to take it sometimes that we're not going to have the whole 90 minutes, and they're the home team. They've got to take chances. They threw bodies forward, and we managed to keep it to 1-0 at the end, which is grateful from our point of view.
Well, that first half, I thought we were very comfortable, really. Albert Adu got 1 goal, cracking goal, had a couple of other chances, and as you say, Zane had that one early on. We could have maybe been a couple up by half time.
Yeah, and our shape worked really well. I felt it was, you know, we changed it from normal. We just looked at some stuff in terms of where we are. Tom Bender's had a night in the hospital with his wife where he's had no sleep, and that probably forced us into the shape we went. So we were a bit fortunate from that side of it, because if we'd have started with Tom in the side, we probably wouldn't have played that shape. But it's now give us great thought for the future in terms of how we can play. We can play both ways, and that's quite important from that side of it, because I felt today is the best we've looked in terms of the way we defended. But it also allowed us to get the 2 up front, which was massive. I felt, where first part of the season we played with 1 up front and 2 wingers, where you know we haven't had any wingers in the side today, and I felt we looked better in terms of the way we defended.
I think you went for a 3-5-2. You had at least 3 centre-halves on the pitch. One of them went up front first half, James Kolotsky, after he came on there a sub at Hemel in midweek. And the first half in particular, he did a very good job. Yeah,
I mean, we've tried since Tuesday when Sam pulled his hamstring. We've tried all week to get a centre forward in, but you know, there's a load around very similar to Albert, very similar to Joe, but I needed something slightly different. And after the game on Tuesday, I spoke to James before the game on Tuesday about playing up there, and he played it for Hemel on a couple of occasions. I didn't think he was going to be as good as what he's actually been, so he's been very good from that side of it. But what we can ask him, just go and be a pivot up there and get the ball, be hard to play against, which is what I felt he did. I thought him and Swain had a really good battle. Swain's ended up getting man of the match for them, because that just shows you how well James has done. But again, it's not the answer for me in the long term. You know, we've got to try and get somebody in, and we've got to try and get Joe and Sam Merson back as quickly as we can. So, you know, but it worked today. Whether it will work in the future, as things we'll have to look at as we look through the videos of this week's games, and who's got that strength and who hasn't. But it certainly gave us a lot of height on the pitch. And as you say, I think at the end we probably had 5 centre halves, and Tom Bender come on as well, and David Dehaiju and Frankie Masunda. So it was good for the way it worked for us today. You know, we've got to look at whether it work in the future, but today it was great, and it's obviously given us the 3 points.
5 changes from the league game against Bath last Saturday. As you mentioned, there a couple of them forced by injury. How are those looking?
I would still say they're probably a couple of weeks. I think Joe probably 2.5 weeks. I think Sam probably a little bit longer. But again, we've just got to see where we are. It's nice now because we've got a bit of a spare week, so we can look to try and bring maybe another body in. Bring in Lewis Knight in, and Frankie in has obviously helped us in the defensive side of it. I think it's helped in terms of the way David Lonking has gone and defended now. The last 2 games, I think he's been exceptional on that side of it. Having Ollie back after being out with the abscess on his tonsils has helped. And you know, as I said before, with Frankie Masunda, he can play centre half or right wing back or centre midfield, and I think he did a great job when he's had to change around. It's just unfortunate we lost Joe Howe at the time with an ankle twist again in terms of where he was, because I felt he was causing him quite a few problems in that first 25 minutes. Unfortunately, he's gone over on his ankle, and I probably think he's probably sort of 7 to 10 days in terms of where he is. Hopefully he might be one of them that mends quite quickly, but we'll have to assess all these on Tuesday night.
What pleased you more, the 3 points or the clean sheet?
It's difficult, though. I just think a win for us more than anything is because the confidence has been a little bit low. But I said, and I've said it on Saturday, I felt the last half hour against Bath, we got a bit of belief back. Certainly going to Hemel on Tuesday night took us to another level in terms of the belief, and today again will help. And it's just really trying to get these boys to realise that they're a good side. They play some really good football. And I don't think we've actually played as good football today as we've done in the past. But the one thing they've done today, they dug in deep and they've gone and battled and worked hard. And the difficult conditions with the wind and the rain, and a team trying to obviously get back in the game, but they've had to really dig in. But we had some big players out there, some big headers was made. The keeper's obviously come and made a couple of really good catches. He hasn't really had a save to make the whole game, but he's gone and caught a couple of good crosses late on, which he could have spilled and could have been a reaction. But defensively, we've had to go and defend with our heads, we've had to clear our lines, we've had to put feet in and around the box. And just as I say, the stuff we could really work on is just some of our ball retention in and around the halfway line and the final third. And we see it when Ollie broke clear with a 3-on-1, a little bit of quality on that pass. We could have gone and finished the game quite early today. Unfortunately, we didn't. We gave him an opportunity to defend, and then it was always, why it's only 1-0, there's always going to be under pressure. They could go and nick something late on and take away the enjoyment of first getting 3 points, secondly getting a win, and thirdly, like you say, keeping a clean sheet, because that does breed confidence in terms of where the team is, where the club is, and we didn't want to stay on the bottom too long. And as I've said before, we can't let a gap open between us and the rest of the league. Now, winning today brings Welling into it, and it brings everybody into the mould, and we've just got to keep trying to win as many games as we can, keep everybody involved in it, and hopefully, as you win a game of football, it'll take you up the league, because I believe we're in a forced position, and we've got to try and get out of that, because we shouldn't be bottom of the league with the players we've got at this football club.
I mean, that battling quality that you showed late on there, that's going to prove vital, certainly over the next few weeks while you get yourselves out of this problem.
Yeah, and as I said there, we've got to get everybody back fit. It seems this year's probably been the second half of last season and the beginning of this year. We've sort of picked up sort of niggly injuries, and they're not stuff that keeps people out 3 or 4 weeks, but it's sort of a 5 or 6 week one. But once they've been out that period of time, it's really hard to get them back to match fitness. So we're always playing catch up, and it's showed with Scotty Shorten. I think he's coming back to the level of performance now that we see last season, but he missed 6 to 8 weeks at the beginning of the season. Solomon has come back at the start of the season, done really well, then missed again 4 or 5 weeks with his ankle. And so we just keep, every time we sort of get to a level where we think we can go and push on, we sort of pick up a niggly little injury. It takes 3 or 4 weeks to clear up, and then players are playing catch up. We haven't, as I said, got a reserve side, we haven't got an under 23 side, so we can't get these players back up to match fitness as quick as we need to. So all we can do is use games and try and bring it back as quickly as possible. And I think some of the players are now reaching that level, but we've got to kick on now, because the pitches are going to start to change, and we've got to realise that in a relegation battle, that you don't play football to get out of it. You have to go and dig in deep. You have to become hard to play against, and you've got to be difficult to beat. And if we do that, then we'll get out of it. If not, then we'll be struggling for the rest of the season, because it's all about learning ways of playing the systems. And some of our players are now starting to grasp what we've asked for the last couple of weeks. I think we've seen that certainly in the last 2.5 games, and hopefully can continue going into the month of November.
A win away to a Welling United side it's not been the greatest of form of late. It's certainly most welcome. Different kettle of fish next Saturday, having at Waterlooville at Clarence Park.
Yeah, and as we've said all along, though, but there's 22 teams in the league, so we know we're going to play 21 games. At what stage we play them, we have to take that on the chin. I'm just pleased we're not playing them last game of the season, where you've got loads to plough on it. At the moment, let's get it out of the way next week, and then see where we are. We've gone to Hemel in midweek and got something from that game, and they're second in the league. So we've got to believe that we've got a good side. It's going to be tough. We know it's going to be tough, but let's see where we are. We've got some big players in there in terms of can stick their foot in, stick their head in, and clear their lines. And now we've got to get those little bit of quality, especially in that final third. We've got to go and finish games off. And if we do get in them good areas, our ball retention has to be really good, better than today. And if we do that, then we'll create more chances. And the only way we can do that is keep working in training. But the belief in terms of how we've got to go and win a game was massive today, and now we've got to take that forward, as I say, going into November.
3 goals in 2 games for Albert Adu. He's getting his chance really, because Joey Schifano is out injured. And they're 2 very similar players, aren't they? But They're a handful in the box, and they sniff around there looking for those chances.
Yeah, they are, and as I say, Albert's coming. I think Albert got 32 goals last year in 2 leagues below, so it doesn't matter what level you've still got to be a goal scorer and a goal poacher, and I think today he's took his goal really well. You go back to Slough away where he's hit the crossbar, and so again, but he lost nearly 3 or 4 weeks of this season because of the knee problem he got. So we've lost him, and again you can see there now he's starting to stretch himself out in the last 10 minutes. He's struggling to get to match fitness levels, and the first part of the season he was sitting on the bench because Joe was doing so well. So we can only keep training them and get them to a level of fitness. The match fitness is what they need, and Albert will get better as the match fitness comes and as the games come. We are quite fortunate we've got a spare week this week, but then we go Havant, and then we go Bishop Stortford, and so we've got another midweek game where we can use that to try and get some minutes into players and try and get them back up to speed as quickly as possible.
Lovely, thanks so much, Ian, and congratulations on today's victory.
Thank you.
As we mentioned there, Saints next in action on Saturday the 2nd of November, when Havant and Waterlooville are the visitors to Clarence Park. National League South kick-off is at 3 p.m.